Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Manns, and I'd like to welcome you to the April 4th Coalition Show. This is the August 5th, 2024 edition of the show. And the Coalition's mission statement is, we are for workers' rights and collective bargaining rights and are against tax breaks for the rich and corporations who ship our jobs overseas. We support all the articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but as is our custom, we put the emphasis on Article 23 at the start of the show. Dick, you have number
Yes.
one.
Everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and favorable conditions of work, and protection against unemployment.
Sue?
Everyone without any discrimination has a right to equal pay for equal work.
Number three, everyone who works has the right to just and favorable remuneration, which is any form of compensation, ensuring for himself and herself and his or her family an existence worthy of human dignity and supplemented if necessary by other means of social protection. Michael?
Number 4, everyone has the right to form and join trade unions for the protection of his or her interests.
So I'd like to welcome Michael and Sue and Dick back from our little hiatus and vacation over the course of July. And gee, a lot happened
Yeah,
professionally, locally.
it's been a lot of changes going on nationally. And I hope everybody had a good month, though. Did you have a nice month?
Yeah, I had a couple of shows this month, and I also had, so I've been here.
So
And
she
I
hasn't
didn't have
missed
a
a beat.
vacation,
Yeah.
but I have a vacation.
Yep. And I had a good break from it. I went to Austin, Texas for the Elks National Convention and had a good time there. It was hot, but not as humid and so
Right.
forth. And you know what? I forgot to do the thank yous. I just realized that.
Okay.
Oh, dear.
So we can't do that. You can tell we're rusty. We haven't been here for a month. Anyway, so I would like to, as is our custom also, we want to give a thank you to Michael Putnam from WMNB LP 107.1 for airing the audio portion of our show on Fridays at 6 p.m. and to the fabulous staff here at Northern Berkshire Community Television for assisting us with our show. So thank you, David Fabiano, Joanne Hurlbut, and Nicole A. Brown. There we go. Now we're past the rustiness. I won't make that
Now,
mistake next
we have a
week.
couple of videos that we were going to show by Robert Reich.
Yeah.
And why don't we show those first, and then that'll get our discussion going.
This is what MAGA lawmakers and Republican-appointed judges and justices want to do to the last 100 years of American history. They don't just want to turn back the clock of progress. They want to destroy it completely. They already set us back before 1973 by overturning Roe v. Wade. They set us back before 1965 by gutting the Voting Rights Act. Whether it's rolling back marriage equality, as they have threatened, the freedoms gained by the civil rights movement, the freedom to retire with dignity thanks to Social Security and Medicare, the freedom to eat safe food, drink clean water, breathe clean air, the freedom of children not to be placed in dangerous working conditions, the freedoms established by the 14th Amendment, like birthright citizenship. Remember this. A party obsessed with destroying progress is not a party that's interested in building a better future for you and your family.
Yep, that's all from that report, correct? The 925-page report.
No, this is stuff that's happening already with the Supreme Court and rolling back. The Congress is trying to roll back. The Supreme Court got rid of Roe v. Wade. And they're already tuning up to try to make the National Labor Relations Board
Obsolete.
illegal, saying that it's unconstitutional. They have a case going that they just challenged, and it won in Texas. They were claiming that the National Labor Relations Board didn't have the right to institute some penalties. But it's going to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court just does what it wants. It's,
Right,
it's-
doesn't care about
yeah,
precedent.
No, they don't care at all. You know, if they, you know, they already said that, you know, that, you know, the EPA and other agencies, you know, can't overstep their bounds, that Congress has to tell them what to do. When Congress,
Just can't even
when
tell.
the judges have to tell them what to do,
do.
rather than the scientists, because that's what they have. They have experts in science. They look at the law and they say, okay, this is how we get clean water. This is how
We get this.
clean air. But they're saying judges should be able to make that determination, not the scientists. And
And what judge is going to read?
Right, and the
the
same thing's
science?
happening with labor law. You know, they're challenging the existence. You have people like Elon Musk and other billionaires want to completely wipe out union rights. So, but anyways, let's go on. Let's watch the next Robert Reich video.
Here's a lie you'll hear on conservative talk radio.
Taxing the rich is socialism.
Bunk. Far from being a socialist country, the United States provides corporate welfare for the rich while subjecting everyone else to the harshest form of capitalism in the world. Most Americans who lose their jobs are not eligible for unemployment benefits. Less than 30% of working Americans have access to paid family leave. Only 36% of Americans have government-subsidized health insurance. And while people in most other countries get 3 to 5 weeks of paid vacation, Americans, on average, only get 11 days. Executives who run their companies into the ground are getting gold-plated exit packages, while their workers get pink slips. After a security breach at Equifax that exposed the personal information of 145 million customers to hackers, Richard Smith retired with an $18 million pension. The Wells Fargo CEO, in charge of the unit that opened more than 2 million unauthorized consumer accounts, departed with a $125 million exit package. Meanwhile, thousands of big American corporations are raking in billions each year in government subsidies, bailouts, and tax loopholes, all funded on the taxpayer's dime, when their workers have to rely on programs like food stamps and Medicaid. Corporations that don't pay their workers a living wage, in effect, get fat government subsidies. This government largesse raises stock prices for the richest 1%, who own half of the stock market, as well as CEOs and other top executives who are paid largely in shares of stock. The money is there. Money that could instead be used for more generous social safety nets. But we're using it to pad the pockets of the wealthy.
Statement that we're against the tax breaks for the rich corporations who ship our jobs overseas. And the sad thing is this has been going on since probably the dawn of the industrial age, that we've been saying, oh, we've got to help the rich so that they can help us. And they have no interest in helping us.
It took a high point in the 1980s with Ronald Reagan with trickle-down economics and
And we all know how that turned out.
deregulating the financial industry.
And we all know what followed that.
Yeah,
The collapse of the banking industry
Right.
and the bailouts that way.
right. And people need it. People need time off. People don't need to work more than one job. They, you know, and they need time off. They need some free time.
So they can
give
recoup.
these-
Go
They
ahead.
give these bailouts to these companies, but do they have a credit card? Like other people have to have?
Corporations, you
Yeah,
mean?
meaning to say, I'm making a joke out of this. You know, I mean, they're bailing them out. They don't have to pay anything.
Right.
But what happens to a person who, or a family that doesn't have any money? They have to put all this money on a credit card, and it keeps going up and up and up and up and up.
And high
High interest rates and that,
Right.
you know, I mean, that's not fair.
You're right. They,
No.
you know, they take all the risks and reap the benefits, and then if it gets too risky, the government has to come and bail them
Bail 'em
out
out.
because they're
Yeah.
too big to fail.
God forbid they fail, then.
We do have one issue, though, that, Joe Biden, when he became president, he passed, the first law that he passed, he did something to bail out people in unions. So let's watch, there's a couple of videos we have on the union bailout of pension funds. Let's watch those videos.
4 years ago, I lost my pension. It wasn't my fault. It was corporate greed and industry consolidation that wiped it out. Everything I worked for disappeared. But thanks to the American Rescue Plan, my pension, along with a lot of others, is funded again. It feels good knowing you can retire with dignity. To learn more about the American Rescue Plan and other recent wins for workers, visit uswvoices.org.
And then we have another video that was made, it's in Niagara Falls area by one of the unions. They talk about, what this American Rescue Plan, that was the first bill passed by the Biden administration, what it did for workers. So let's listen to them in Niagara Falls.
During my apprenticeship, our pension plan was doing fantastic. We were having great returns in the late 90s, and subsequently our pension credits were getting increased yearly. Membership was doing well. Around 2000, though, it hit the wall. It took a substantial financial hit. And then again in 2007, it took another financial hit. So the pension, we've been trying to play catch up with the fund my whole career. Through the years, we put a lot of money into the fund to try to rectify it, but it was, we were in a tough spot, and it was on a downward spiral for a long time.
It was tough, really bad. I was on that board. I sat on the board. We did cuts and pays, just to reduce down and extend it out. I explained to people we had to take a cut and pay to give the younger guys a chance to have some type of pension.
I saved as much as I could possibly save, but without that pension, you can't make it. You can't raise a family and save enough money to retire.
They said in a few years, it's gonna go away. So the American Rescue came along, and when I heard that, I said, "Wow, that's great."
Good morning, folks. For a few weeks now, an overwhelming percentage of the American public has made it clear that they support my American Rescue Plan.
Biden's very first bill was the American Rescue Plan, and the major provision in that, and when he demanded that, it didn't exist at all, was a bailout for the American worker who was losing their pension because of bad public policy decisions that had crippled our economies, had sent jobs overseas, had shut down entire industries like the regulated trucking industry. And he said, we are going to make them whole. That's what unions depend on as the gold standard of unionism. That's what workers deserve, and I'm going to make sure that happens. And don't send me a bill unless it does just that, or I'll veto it. And that's what we got. We got a bill that was passed in a bipartisan fashion that saved the American worker. And just in contrast, a few years earlier, during the Trump administration, the proposal was to eliminate and to bankrupt the defined benefit pension systems as the way to rescue them. It's saying, why do we even have them anymore if they can't stay solvent and whole? Instead of saying, well, the worker didn't do that, the solution of the Republican Party was to take it away from us altogether. So the contrast is stark. We have to make sure we go out and we support people who support us at that level. And that's Joe Biden.
Got it. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
I think it's the best thing that ever happened. I think the president of this country going there, it's got all that's got to help. There's an effort to say, we want to make this better.
I consider myself blessed. I don't know what to say. I'm happy.
I was praying for it every day, for that to come and help not only our local, but their other locals. And it finally got passed, and boy, I'll tell you what, I thank God every day for that. It was just amazing.
We all went back and we got reinstated to what we were at to begin with. We got a reinstatement for our money. We got reinstatement for our back pay. So now we're back to where we were before. And you see hope at the end that you're going to make it. It should last your whole rest of your life now.
I mean, the Democrats are for the working man, always have been.
Vote for the candidate that's going to work for you and the country.
I would definitely support Joe Biden. They saved the most important thing, that is, to each member working in Local 237 was having a pension, gave a future to our members.
I think,
Well, obviously this was made before Biden made the decision
right, but
to drop out.
what they're trying to do, the Republicans are trying to do, is talk about Harris and Biden's record and say
Right.
that it was a bad record.
Right, they're trying to
But
convince
this
you
is-
that they don't
But this-
want to help the
this is-
American
This is the
people.
record that they ran on. This is what they did. They helped working people. They were not the ones that were boisterous and making all these loud claims, but not delivering. They delivered.
They delivered what they delivered to the American people, and people forget it because they keep thinking that inflation is too high, prices are too high, and they are high. I'm not saying everybody feels the heat when they go out to the grocery store and the gas pump, but you have to look at the large picture of everything of it and realize that he inherited a wreck of an economy. We're fortunate that it's back to where it is, and that and he doesn't control when the interest rates come down,
No.
unfortunately,
you know-
which is the next step to, but inflation is not growing as fast as it was. But if he could control prices, I'm sure Biden would love to freeze them.
Right. I think that, there might be some investigations into price gouging,
That would be nice.
A former attorney general for the state of California, Kamala Harris.
She did say yes, she did.
I think
She did that for her own state, and I'm sure she would
be a
love to do
challenge,
it.
yeah. So
for the
I'm
US.
very grateful to President Biden for him having the courage to say that it's better to pass the torch to another generation. And I think that we needed it because we need to defend, what we've won so far and to go forward and provide for everyone in need. And I don't believe that the Republican Party, in its nominee, its three-time nominee, I don't believe he's out for the good of the American people. I think he's out for his own good.
Oh, I'm sure he's out for his own good, because if he succeeds in becoming president, almost every single one of those cases that he's been indicted on are four-time indicted ex-president and twice impeached ex-president will be, and with the Supreme Court's decision about his immunity, that he's entitled to immunity for presidential acts.
No.
I mean, my God, what were they thinking?
Well, they're just
There's
looking-
no guardrails there.
No, they're just immunizing their own,
Their own. They're not,
They're looking out to take care of him. There's just, it's not right. The Constitution does not say the president is above the law.
No, it doesn't.
No.
And, and somehow the other 40, he's 46, right? No, Biden's 46.
I don't know the numbers.
Anyway, all the presidents before Trump managed to survive and not need somebody to say, hey, you're immune for your acts. They managed to
He's already
control their impulses.
Right. He's already setting us up. He said it in 16, he said it in 20, and now he's saying it again.
Again in
But if I
2024.
lose, it's got to be fixed. There's no way I can lose. If I lose, it's fixed. It's not true.
If you win, we're staying down.
Yes. Unfortunately. Yeah, if he wins,
Let's be
yeah.
honest,
I want my vote to count as much as someone who lives in Wisconsin and Michigan or any other state. We should go by the popular vote. Whoever gets the most vote wins.
Right.
And Donald Trump has never got the most votes.
Oh.
No.
The Republicans haven't
Hillary
gotten the
Clinton
most.
got millions more votes than he did.
No, the Republican nominee has not won the popular vote since Reagan.
No, I think in 2004, George W. Bush's second term, he did win the popular vote against John Kerry. But that was the only time.
No, I thought it went down to, no, I think Kerry still won the, it wasn't big, it wasn't a big
No,
margin.
I think Bush won the
Well,
popular vote.
we're not
Either
gonna-
way, that was,
Either
I think
way,
that's
if
the
there
only
was one
time
exception
since.
in that
Yeah.
time, that should be telling you,
Yeah.
that should have been telling the Republican Party, you're not doing enough for the people
Right.
of the country. You're just,
A majority of the people want, people to have a home, to have enough food, to have a
Go rent.
retirement, to have
Retirement.
free time.
they do, and they
The
want,
majority of the people want those things.
and the majority of the people want peace in their
Yes.
lives.
Exactly.
And stability.
Right.
They don't want instability going on and not being sure of anything,
Right.
Because I know I'm approaching that age. I'm going to be on Social Security. I'm in Medicare starting in 2 months. And my Social Security is going to be covering that. And I'd like to know that that's going to continue.
Right.
Because I've worked for it my whole entire life. I've paid into the system. And we actually pay into the system
Right.
for our whole entire lives.
I'd
We
like
don't
to
get
a
it for
check
free.
for it. I'd like to get a check for what I put in.
I would love to get a whole check for what I
Does it let
get
me
in,
in?
but
Give me a whole check for it, thank you.
It's a system that we,
Yeah.
we work for the future generations. And what we have to do is we just have to employ more people. We have to bring more people into, there's people working now, but we need to bring,
we need to get that
We need-
4.2% unemployment,
we
which
need
is
to
the
get-
lowest it's been in years,
Yeah.
down lower if we could.
or we just need more younger people. We have a shortage of younger people, and we should bring more people into the country.
The Roe versus Wade, I wonder if that has anything to do with we want more people.
No, Roe versus Wade has to
Isn't
do
that,
with,
um,
that's the one where they're trying to say women shouldn't have abortions.
Right.
But that's saying you want a woman to get pregnant.
Yeah,
But
and to carry
that
it
is
through.
not why they did it.
It just seems a little
I mean, if
strange.
they wanted women to be able to have families and be home raising it, they'd have created an economy that makes that possible. We don't have an economy that makes it possible. Women have to work just
Out
as
of economic necessity.
necessity. Majority of women work out of economic necessity. They don't do it, and I'm a woman who couldn't have children, so what was I going to do if I couldn't work? To be honest, but the honest truth is, but they didn't do it to try to bring up the US population. The economy is why people aren't having children. It's too expensive
Oh, that too.
to
Yeah.
have children.
Maybe that's why
So
they're letting all
therefore,
these people
immigration
into the
is your
company.
answer. It has always been the answer
To
ever
bring more
since.
people in, yeah.
To bring more
But they take
people
other
in.
people's jobs, though, don't they?
No,
Not really?
no, they do not.
They do
They
not.
take
They're
jobs that
taking
people-
jobs
They
that
take
don't
the
want.
jobs that people don't want.
That's why
That's
there's
what I
so
was
many
thinking.
vacancies.
Right, if people wanted to work in the restaurant industry, they'd be in it. People,
Want to pick lettuce,
Yeah,
people want to
grapes,
pick carrots, want to pick fruit.
yeah,
There's not a lot of people beating down the door for those jobs.
yeah, I understand what you're saying now.
And we bring new people in, they work hard. It's been that way. My grandfather came, he was a peasant. He didn't have any land where he came from. He came here, he worked on the railroad, he worked hard, he had children. They worked hard, they had children, but they added to the economy. They had gardens, they added to the cultural life. The immigrants built this country, a whole insurance agency.
Yeah, that's true.
The insurance industry grew out of the immigrant experience, because when the immigrants came to the United States, it was a new system. In the old country, they would die and they would be buried. There was no cost involved. You get buried in the church cemetery in your village. Everyone was taken care of. But when you come to America, all of a sudden there was an expense associated with dying. So the different ethnic groups gathered together. They started the Sons of Italy, the Lebanese Society, Tito Lay Society that my grandparents belonged to. And they took their money, and they were working, but they took a percentage of their money and they put it into a fund. So if someone died and they were members in good standing, they had bylaws and everything. If you violated those bylaws, you could be kicked out of the organization. But if you're in the organization and you died, they paid for your funeral and your burial expense. And so this happened, and finally it was such a powerful way of taking care of each other. The insurance industry grew out of that. They came to the immigrant organizations and they said, instead of you holding the money like that, we can do that for you. We'll hold the money, and we'll guarantee insurance to everybody in your society, in your group, and we'll provide for their burial. And out of that grew the life insurance industry. But it was immigrants. The same thing with vaudeville. You know, that grew out. It was a very, very painful experience for immigrants to leave their country and come here. It wasn't a friendly environment. There was a lot of animosity between the people that lived there and the new people. And but the artists that immigrated, they provided a psychological outlet by performing for them. And they would perform the humiliating circumstances which sometimes they found themselves. But people gathered and they started laughing about, oh yeah, that's happened to me and whatever. But then out of that grew vaudeville, where they had the jokes about, oh, that's the Italian and the Marx Brothers and whatever, the guy with the Italian accent or this. But the artists that came with the immigrants, they gave birth to that. And there's many other parts of our country that the immigrants were able to build our foundations of our society.
New people, bring in new ideas and new creative energy.
New energy.
That we just
The only
didn't have.
thing is, comedians nowadays are afraid of the people in the audience attacking them.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, you know, you have a good thing years ago, but unfortunately, times change, and so do people. You know,
I saw a couple of comedians in Adams. They did a very good job at the Adams Theater. At the Adams Theater in Adams, it was very nice.
That's in Adams,
Yeah.
not, you know.
But that's
we're only
coming
at
from the tensions in society right now
that's what
because
I'm talking
we only
about.
have
we're
30
busy
seconds
being
left.
divisive.
Well,
We do
okay.
only have 30 seconds left, but we had time just for me to say divisive.
Yeah.
Because we're so divisive, that's why tensions are high, and that's people don't even know how to take a joke anymore.
No.
Which is sad.
No.
Very
They don't.
sad. But we wanted to say we're back, and
everybody gets offended.
And everybody get out to vote this election. And Mike, power to the people.
Power to the people.
See you
As
next week.
always.
Power to the people.
Gotta do it. Like I said,
there's power in the factory, power in the land, power in the hand of the worker. But it all amounts to nothing if together we don't stand. There is power in our union. Now the lessons of the past are all learned with workers' blood. Mistakes of the bosses we must pay for. From the cities and the farmlands to trenches.